Welcome to Rhyme and Reason Season 2. I'm Big Papa, your host. It's my pleasure to come back to you for our second episode of the season. Just a reminder, this is a podcast where me and my guests discuss and debate the cyclical nature through a pop culture lens. To anyone new, I'll explain. How do we do that? 3 generations, X, Millennial, and Z. We talk about the subjects and we compare, hate, or love, or even debate what has changed. And as always, I am representing Generation X. Proud to bring back my co-host, who has been the man bringing the RP Comic Book Club and has been on every episode with me, Victor Jr., representing Generation Z.
What up?
Last week, he served as a mix of Millennial and X, as he's an in-betweener. But this week, he's going to serve more as a Millennial, and he's our RIP co-host, Gabriel Feliciano.
What up, though?
All right, guys, thanks for coming back. I'm going to get started with our episode here.
Of course.
In 1908, I hope I'm saying this right, Phantasmagoria, considered by animation historians as the world's first cartoon, was released. Steamboat Willie was released on November 18, 1928 in New York and is considered the debut of the man himself, Mickey Mouse. Since then, cartoons or animations, as it is better referred to, have had many advances and also taken on many more genres, targeted being kids, obviously, but also now even political, violent, and even sexual. Even the way they are created and style has changed. Today on Rhyme and Reason, we talk animation cartoons. All right, guys. So I talked about that. I said 1908. I don't know if I said that right. It's called Phantasmagoria. Apparently, it was the first cartoon created. But I mean, I always know Mickey Mouse as being like the oldest cartoon, and that's why I went and looked up a little history on him. And apparently, this cartoon that came out in 1928 was the third cartoon of Mickey Mouse, but they couldn't find distribution. And Walt Disney was only one of the animators in that time of Mickey Mouse. It was 3 guys, but it surprised me because it was 1928. That's how, and I've seen that cartoon a couple times. Steamboat Willie is when he's on the boat, and it's such an old version. I don't even think it's color. I think it's like a grayish.
Yeah, actually, and the precursor of Mickey Mouse, it was Oswald the Rabbit, and a little tidbit here, which was involved in a trade with NBC and ABC because NBC had obtained the rights to Oswald the Rabbit, so they ABC, which is owned by Disney, wanted it back, so they end up trading Oswald the Rabbit for Al Michaels, which for so many years he was doing Sunday Night Football. Just a little tidbit there. Yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Gabe taking it even farther for us. I mean, the oldest cartoon that I can remember my age for my beautiful generation. And I think about back to I'm talking about back. What is it? And I want you guys to do the same thing. What is the cartoon you remember at your earliest age that you can say, I remember watching that? And to me, it was either the Flintstones or Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, I would probably say around there. Anything like Hanna-Barbera or even
Yeah, we got Hanna-Barbera was a huge cartoon created back in the day. I don't know if they still do anything though.
No.
But yeah,
they repurposed a lot of Hanna-Barbera cartoons. And I think that's where I come in a little bit. My generation is that a lot of the cartoons that I grew up with weren't necessarily just like the Flintstones or the Jetsons, but it was Harvey Birdman and C-Lab 2021. Those were all cartoons that repurposed a bunch of Hanna-Barbera characters and animation, and they revoiced over them.
Yeah.
So C-Lab 2021 was just there were a bunch of characters from an old Johnny Quest episode, a few Johnny Quest episodes, and they've repurposed all the animation to make a 3-season TV show, and it's hilarious. But Hanna-Barbera was probably the first cartoon that I remember too, and it was probably just Scooby-Doo and the Jetsons and the Flintstones and all that.
Yeah, see, I feel like the Jetsons was on and off. Like they were like popular, but then like nobody really talked about them, but everybody knew who they were. And
Yeah.
like
When
I like watching the Jetsons. Like I thought that
well,
was funny.
when I was a kid, they were still making movies, like the animated movies. There's the Jetsons movie, and then there's the Flintstones movie.
Did they ever make a real life movie of the Jetsons or no? I don't think so, right?
No, not that I know of.
Yeah.
No, but I remember the real life movie for the Flintstones.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
and also I remember a lot of the old, um, like I said, Looney Tunes and
Oh yeah.
but a lot of them that were like, you know, you're never gonna see nowadays on TV because
Oh
of,
yeah.
either Daffy, against like some Nazis or something. I think it was like
Hmm.
a spin-off of Hogan's Heroes that Schultz.
yeah,
Or
and
uh, or Bugs and Drag.
Yeah,
They don't show that anymore at Six Flags for sure.
or in Whiteface, or not Whiteface, but Blackface, where they would kind of,
who was it that did that blackface cartoon?
Bugs.
It was
yeah.
Bugs. Okay.
Yeah, but Bugs used to do drag and he used to do blackface and yellowface and all
Hmm.
that.
And see now, when I was growing up, and in my time, of course, it was like I said, I remember Flintstones, and I remember the I forgot what I just said. Yeah. The Flintstones, Scooby Doo,
Hmm.
but it was so many cartoons. It was so many cartoons. Like I mean, I want to say when I was towards the more child years, it was more of a like a Hanna Barbera. Okay.
Hmm.
And as I got a little bit older, it became more a little bit action series, But before I go to the action series, I mean, I can't forget also a very, very popular cartoon that I loved as a kid. And it was funny because it was like they made no sense at all. I mean, that's the thing about animation cartoons, right? It makes no sense.
Hmm.
But was the Smurfs?
Yeah.
I
That was
mean,
that was big on for me growing up as well too.
the Smurfs made no sense whatsoever. You basically had a whole village of a bunch of Smurfs and one father and one sister, and everything was Smurfy. And Vic, have you ever got to see the Smurfs?
Yeah, of course.
And I don't know if it changed over the years because I've never watched anything. I never watched a newest Smurf episode as far as like, as a teenager or an adult or anything. I'm talking about I've only concentrated on the Smurfs as a kid and the movies that came out. Those movies that came out was about I think Vic was a kid at the time.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know. Was it Neil Patrick Harris in it or something?
That
Yeah.
or James Marsden.
Yeah, so
It
one
was
of
one of
those.
those two.
And I remember just watching it and just like you basically had to figure out what the hell Smurf meant at the moment.
Hmm.
Like, are you Smurfing it? Are you Smurf that? Smurfing it? And I would sit there and watch it like a crack on watching, somebody make drugs, just like watching the whole thing, and it was so good. And I still have the memory of my older sister taking me to go see the movie in the '80s when they made a movie about it, and she took me to the theater, and I thought I was the shit because I went to go see the Smurf movie. And
Right.
then you get older, you start changing your cartoons, and you start like I got really into the He-Man, the GI Joe,
Yeah.
Thundercats,
Yeah.
Thundercats,
Transformers.
yeah, all those started coming.
Voltron.
And they were out before I hit that age, but it was just a kid in school they started talking about it, and we'll get to that later. How I feel like they don't talk about cartoons anymore. But I remember being in school and it was a big conversation. Did you catch the episode?
Hmm.
Did you watch it? And but the cartoons from my generation is the ones I wanted to go over a little before I get to your guys's. But I remember GI Joe, Transformers, and I'm talking about the originals. I'm not talking about because there's been so many different versions of them,
Yeah.
right? There was the Transformers with Optimus. There was the Transformers after Optimus died when his brother, cousin, sister, I forgot the guy's name.
Ultra Magnus when he ended up leading him, and then it was Hot
There
Rod
was
afterwards.
no, there was another one before that. That guy when Optimus got killed on the in the
The
movie.
movie, yeah. And then
Um,
for a second, Ultra Magnus took over, and then
wasn't it Rodimus?
well, it was Hot Rod, and then he became Rodimus Prime when he got
Oh,
what was it, the Matrix or whatever, the
see,
the thing.
I don't even remember. I don't even remember Hot Rod as a regular.
You guys sound like you're talking about the Old Testament.
Right.
Hey, Transformers had some. It was.
Oh yeah,
It
that
was
was a big thing when
there was levels to this. Okay.
when
Have you
Optimus Prime died. It was man,
have
they
you
got
guys
you know.
seen Transformers 1 yet?
No, I want to. I've heard nothing but great stuff about it, but I have not
Mm-hmm.
watched it, and I have it
Transform
on my. I have
Yeah,
it
I
on
gotta
my.
check it out.
Yeah, everyone keeps saying it's really good, especially if you like Gen 1 Transformers
Yeah.
and like the old movie, because it all takes place on Cybertron.
Yeah, like before all that too, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
before when it
Way
was
before the fall.
Orion Pax or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta remind me to talk to you later about something about the movies, but to go back to Gabe's point about that movie when Optimus died, it was. I'm trying to think what I would compare it to now, but I don't think I could because
It's like when
just
Jon Snow died.
Yeah,
yeah,
probably.
probably
Yeah.
yeah. But for kids,
Yep.
I remember going to school and it was like, "Did you see the movie?" No, I mean, you're not gonna believe what happened.
Right.
You're not gonna believe what happened.
Yeah, it was a big deal.
Yeah.
And
And
here's the
then
sad
G.I.
part.
Joe kind of did the same thing too, a little bit. Didn't Duke end up getting killed as well?
Um, well, hold on. Let me
And
go back to the Transformers story real quick because I got a very sad story about that.
uh-huh.
Everybody went to school and told me about this and everything, like what's going on and what happened to Optimus. Nobody ever took me to see the damn movie.
Oh,
And I can sit here at 48 years old now and tell you I have never seen that Transformer movie.
Yeah,
The
you have.
first set,
We ordered it off Netflix when it was DVDs.
the animation one.
Mm-hmm.
I remember seeing
It
it.
was. I remember seeing it because it was the movie about the fall of Cybertron.
No, I don't remember. Honestly, it must not be that great then. That's my excuse now. But
another
yeah,
fun, yeah,
go
another
ahead.
funny thing I remember, like as older, like we were with a group of friends, just rewatching it because I had it on DVD. And when Optimus died, I remember one of my friend's sisters was like, "Oh my God, he's a fucking robot! Like, why is the kid crying?"
You're like, shut
And
up.
we just look at her like,
You don't
Gabe,
get it. He was a
Gabe,
prime, the
Gabe,
last prime.
Gabe was wiping his eyes. Shut up. Shut up. You're not invited over no more.
"Yeah,
Not
mind you,
even-
we were in our 20s already, so it was like,
Gabe said, "You're not invited over. It's not even his house."
right?
It's funny.
And G.I. Joe, I don't remember if they killed Duke. I just remember Duke kind of disappearing and the other guy came about. And I
His
can't, I forget.
brother.
It was
Yeah,
no,
was it
no,
Falcon or something like that, or
Falcon.
Yeah,
yeah,
Falcon came
something
about.
like that.
yeah,
Yeah, he came about, and it was more like, where's Duke at? And like Duke, like he just kind of disappeared. It's like they
yeah.
got kind of tired of the character.
He's
But I
MIA.
mean, yeah, he went in MIA for a while, but I didn't know what happened. So maybe they did. Maybe I missed that episode of that movie too, right?
When I
But
was watching the G.I. Joe cartoon when I was a kid, it was a Sigma Force cartoon. It
Hmm.
was like its own thing. And it didn't even follow Duke. It was the whole new generation of like G.I. Joe soldiers, like Tunnel
Yeah,
Rat and like a new barricade and all that.
yeah, when I was watching GI Joe, they had so more characters as well. I mean, there was a guy named Steamboat. I think it's Steamboat. The guy, yeah, he looked like a Navy guy.
oh,
Um,
Shipwreck with the
Shipwreck,
parrot.
yeah,
Yeah,
Shipwreck, yeah.
yeah,
Man, sorry, Gabe.
They're very they're very on the nose
right.
with their
Yeah.
names.
Even Sergeant Slaughter was in GI Joe. I mean, these were great. These were great shows. And I mean, Vic mentioned it. Thundercats was awesome. I mean, Lionel. You know what? Maybe my old age, but I don't even remember Lionel's name. I can't remember the name of the Pantera was one. I think. Do you guys remember any of
Lino Pantera.
the Thundercats?
I can't say that I do.
So I remember on Thundercats there was different type of cats, right? That was the whole
Yeah,
point of Thundercats. I know it was a lion. I know it was a panther,
yeah,
but I don't
Panthro.
remember Panther with it. Vic, we're all wrong. We call it Pantera. I think that's the name of the band, right?
Yeah, it is.
And a car.
Yeah. The name of Pantera, the car.
Yeah, Ford Pantera.
Oh, Vic, we're on different levels here.
Yeah.
Um, So yeah, I don't remember the name of the other cats, but I remember Lionel, and I just remember him with that little baby knife, and then turns into a big ass sword.
Yeah,
But it was a great show. Me and Vince watched it a couple times I think he was a teenager when they came out with the new one.
The new one came out when I was a kid. Yeah, it was around the same time that the Clone Wars TV show was going on.
yeah,
I remember, Gabe, you lived there when you lived with us when the Thundercat show would come on.
yeah,
We would all watch it on Saturdays, I think.
yeah.
And then another one from my generation that was great, and I think I mentioned already, but He-Man.
Yeah.
He-Man was I don't know, Vic, if you ever got to see any of those, but
Masters of the Universe.
yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah.
Before they messed it up with She-Ra, but I mean, He-Man was the He-Man, Skeletor.
Yep.
Yeah, well, I gotta start watching some more of these cartoons. I forgot all their names.
The Kevin Smith version's pretty good too. It's
Oh yeah, he did
worth a
one.
watch. Yeah, he on Netflix they came out with one.
That's cool.
Yeah.
We have to watch that one, Victor.
Yeah. And one thing I don't know if we mentioned it yet or not when I got disconnected, but they all had that PSA at the end too, remember? Like
Don't do drugs.
yeah, stuff like that, or like bullying, or like
Cool.
telling an adult about something if you're uncomfortable. Like they all had that message at the end, like a little skit, right?
I think
Before the
that was coming out as I was more of a teenager when they were doing it, but I remember G.I.
yeah,
Joe was annoying is half the battle.
right, yeah, and yep.
And Transformers, I don't remember what theirs was, but yeah, I remember
And
that
it
was
kind of went along with the episode too, like
Transformer was more like a skit, wasn't it? Like
I
it was
think
like
so,
showing
yeah,
a kid getting bullied or something, and then Optimus would come in or something like that. But yeah, I mean, and those I think those were more towards the cartoons that were
yeah.
action cartoons.
Because
But
I think it was also in a way of just showing that, like, hey, we're not just making these to sell toys, and you know, these
but
things
we
serve a
are,
purpose, right?
but we are.
Yeah,
I watched a great episode on Netflix about those making of the toys. You ever seen those?
Yeah.
the toys that made us, or
Uh-huh.
something
Yeah,
like that.
the GI Joe one and the Transformer one's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Vic, we should put that on our Thanksgiving list to watch that He-Man, the Kevin Smith one.
Oh yeah.
The one I'm up there for, we can check it out together.
And
Yeah.
Transformers 1.
Yeah, definitely. Well, now you got me interested to kind of watch it before I get there. So
and Mark Hamill, he does the voice of Skeletor. So,
Oh really?
yeah, he does a pretty good job at it as well.
Nice.
Yeah,
I like when Mark Hamill gets work in voice acting.
yeah,
Well, he does more voice than he does real acting, doesn't he?
Yeah, these
Yep.
days.
So just go back to that. I mean, I mentioned some of mine. I know they mixed into Gabe's, but Gabe, do you got any cartoons that may be different?
Yeah, I think all those I loved, but once Ninja Turtles hit, that was
Mm.
a wrap, and that kind of took over, um, and then kind of going like with the later years, because my sister, she was born in '87. Um, she was more on like well, before I even say that, like Batman the animated series,
Yeah.
Spider-Man, X-Men, of
Mm.
course,
Yeah.
those were great. But like stuff like Animaniacs, Tiny Toons, Rugrats,
Animaniacs.
yeah, or Freakazoid, those were pretty, cool, and
Pinky and the Brain.
yeah,
You see,
Gargoyles, that was another great one.
Gargoyles.
Yeah,
The Iron Man
yeah,
animated show.
yep, the Hulk one too.
you mentioned Animaniacs, and I always think our good friend Alfie, rest in peace. As
Mhm.
I mean, 187, he loved Animaniacs, and he had this idea, and I always told Victor about this, why I would watch it with him. That he wanted him on his car, he wanted to put a hood.
Hmm.
And on the hood, he wanted to have it where I can't remember the one Animaniac that had like the accent.
Oh yeah, uh, not Yakko, but Wacko. Yeah.
Yeah, he wanted him like rip it out of the hood.
Oh,
Yeah, he wanted to put the Animaniac, and when you say Animaniacs, I always remind me of him. We were in high school, and he was telling me about like, I'm gonna get this comic hood, I'm gonna get the guy coming out, and it's like, I'm like, they're good, but I mean, we're 18 years old, bro.
right. But also
But
remember at that time, probably when you guys were teens, that was really big. Also, like remember the throwback Looney Tunes shirts where they were dressed up like crisscross, you
yeah,
Yeah.
know, or getting the airbrush on a hoodie at Gibraltar's or something like that.
yeah.
I mean, so
You
like
know,
that
I
was
think
with the time.
Yeah, I think Warner Brothers has some of the like most like profitable merchandising for like
Mhm.
animation I could think of, because when you go to Six Flags, that's like the style. Everyone loves wearing Warner Brothers like stuff, Animaniacs, Looney Tunes, all that.
I feel like Animaniacs was like a hidden treasure that like a lot of people loved it because they were hilarious. That show and then
Yeah.
Pinky and the Brain together, they did them
Oh
together.
yeah.
So it was
Hmm.
like Pinky and the Brain was always like a skit at the end or in the middle or like something. It wasn't its own cartoon though, right? It was like 20 minutes of Animaniacs and then 10 minutes of Pinky and the Brain or something like that.
Yeah.
And it was so hilarious. And now like and we're older. If anybody mentions Animaniacs, they're like, "Oh my god, that was so hilarious." But back in the day, I don't remember like being the most popular show though. Like I remember Alfie talking about it, but I was a teenager at the time, so don't get me wrong.
You were
Uh,
also a teenager with a kid.
yeah, okay. Well, she was a baby, so she wouldn't be watching it. So
No, that's what I'm saying. Like
uh,
you weren't like watching that.
yeah, and like you know what? And we didn't have the internet. We didn't have like I didn't have my ear to the ground in the animation world to say to
Right.
Hmm.
know if anybody was talking about it. So maybe it was as bigger than I thought. I just remember as a teenager, like and maybe a little too grown of a teenager at the time, that I didn't hear much about it, but I hear it more popular now. And I
Yeah.
remember, and I told Victor when he was like probably 10, 11, 12 years old, I was like, listen, you need to watch Animaniacs. And we went back and watched it. And
Hmm.
or they re-released it or something. I forgot how it happened, but and it was still hilarious.
They
Yeah.
released the Animaniacs.
They
Warner
released it
Brothers
from
released them.
from the tower,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which was another hilarious storyline of theirs, right? Because they were in the tower, the Warner Brother Tower.
Oh,
Hmm.
yeah. Always like escaping and
Well, so Gabe, you got any other cartoons from your time that you remember?
Captain Planet was another big one, and
Mm.
then of course you know by then like the 90s and stuff like that, trying to sneak and watch like more like cartoons that wasn't really appropriate, like anything that was like liquid television, like Beavis and Butthead or Ren and Stimpy, stuff
Hmm.
like that.
Beavis and Butthead. I forgot about that
Yeah.
animation. That was like early '90s, I believe,
Yeah.
or mid '90s. No, I think it was early '90s. But yeah,
Yep.
that's when animation kind
Neon
of took a little
Slug.
bit turn. Yep. Well, Vic, I mean, you're the youngest of us, so what do you got that I probably didn't force onto you?
Uh,
'Cause I
damn.
know I got one that
I think
we all forgot. That
what
it's a little bit unbelievable. Well, I don't know if you're gonna hit it, so I want to see if you hit it. But it's unbelievable that me and Gabe haven't mentioned it yet. But let me see if you hit it.
what I was gonna hit is because like I think animation for you guys, it sounds like the '80s like was crazy. Like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, you've got G.I. Joe, you've got Transformers, you've got Thundercats and all that. But like to be fair, all of that was like having like a 30-year resurgence by the time I was a kid. So I did get like a bunch of Transformers TV shows. I got a bunch of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles shows. I think the reboot of the Thundercats show was really good. And this is at a point in time when like Cartoon Network was the one that was like making all these shows. Cartoon Network, by the time I was a kid, was doing everything way better than Disney could ever do and Nickelodeon could ever do.
Yep.
Disney and Nickelodeon, by the time I was like an early teenager, they had already given up on animation and become like a live action like studio. Like you could go to Disney and it was all just live action TV shows. They completely gave up on animation, and then so did Nickelodeon. So like when I think about like the golden years of animation for me, it's that time period when I was like 12 or 13, 2010, when Cartoon Network was making things like Adventure Time, regular show.
Those were good
Uh,
too.
yeah, those are great, and even to this day, those animators and those artists, they're revered. Everyone loves them. They're great. Um, But one thing that when we talk about cartoons and animation, one thing that I want to bring up is the rise of adult animation by the time I was a teenager, because there's a thing called Adult Swim
Mhm.
at 8 o'clock at on Cartoon Network, and at 8 o'clock I was supposed to be in bed. At 8 o'clock, I was not supposed to be watching what was going on Adult Swim. But I like to think that for a lot of kids, not turning off the TV and watching Adult Swim was our first like form of rebellion. Like, we're watching this and we're locked in and we're all going to know about something that we probably shouldn't know about yet. So like that's where those all those Hanna-Barbera recreations come from. The Sea Lab and Space Ghost, Coast to Coast, and Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law. Those were all great, and they took things that I knew from when I was a real small kid on Boomerang and made them into more contemporary for like someone that was becoming a teenager and wanted to know more about pop culture around him. And yeah, that's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about Adult Swim because Adult Swim was the shit.
Boomerang was that the channel that helped you to see like the stuff that I grew up with, right?
It was
Yeah,
all the Hanna Barbera
yeah,
stuff.
part of Cartoon Network too, but it was
Hmm.
like in a separate channel, like a throwback channel.
It was two. It was one channel down. I
Yeah.
remember that.
Adult Swim, I never really watched it. I mean, I would see it, which you would watch it, and I don't know, and that's probably why I didn't know none of the names of those shows that you mentioned.
Hmm.
Oh
Um,
yeah, Aqua Teen Hunger Force and
Yep.
Pinter Brothers. Oh man.
Robot Chicken.
Yeah.
You when American Dad came over, you've got Rick and Morty later down to Boondocks.
Yeah.
wow, yeah, yeah, and that's what the whole podcast is about, right? Stuff that generations has changed.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we're talking about stuff like I don't know anything about under X. You as a Z, and then you got Gabe in the middle, who's relating to both of us.
Yeah,
Like,
what made Adult Swim so popular though? Like Victor
mhm,
explained why, but like for somebody like me at my age, it was, I'm in my early 20s and stuff. So when you know we were just hanging out, either you know smoking or drinking or something like that, just to watch something to waste time. It was
past eight
just for,
o'clock.
yeah, for shits and giggles too. Almost like
Yeah. Wow. That's a part of the cartoon, the animations that I really didn't catch or didn't watch a lot of. So that's information that I didn't have anything about
yeah.
is the Adult Swim, because I mean when I start looking at that type of animation, Victor, I
Hmm.
start thinking about like like The Simpsons. What's that other show that comes out with the guy with the accent that's always drinking a beer with his friends?
You talking about Family Guy?
Yeah.
No, the other
Yeah,
guy.
I was about to say, did you forget what Family Guy was?
No, I like Stewie. But yeah, we're talking about Family Guy as well. But there's that other one, the guy like he's supposed to
Oh,
be
King of the Hill.
King of the
Oh,
Hill.
King of
Yeah.
the Hill.
Yeah, that's what I started thinking about, that type of cartoon. Even though I know that was on regular Fox,
Right.
it
Yeah.
Right.
wasn't on that type show. But that was the level that I took it to, as far as knowing like more adult type
Hmm.
humor and in
Uh-huh.
the animation. But I completely forgot about Adult Swim. Like
Like,
that's
have you ever heard of Home Movies?
no.
Have you heard of Home Movies, Gabe?
Yeah, that was hilarious too.
Home Movies is probably what made me want to become like a director when I was a kid. Because Home Movies is about a group of kids that play soccer, but they like want to make like movies. They make home movies, and their coach is always there, and he's a little asshole, and he's always trying to get with the kid's mom, and it's a really good show, and it has a lot of heart in it. And I think as a kid, I knew it was adult animation, and I wasn't supposed to be watching it, but the story still like hit. They hit sometimes even harder than what I would see on normal like cartoons as a kid.
Well, never seen none of those, but it's good to see that originality was not lost in the generations.
Oh no, no, there
Oh
was
no.
Because like
tons of
Vic,
it.
yeah, like Vic said, a lot of it was coming back from like the 30-year anniversaries and stuff. But and just me, because I'm an old soul, that I like my stuff. Another reason why this podcast is.
Mhm.
I'm so selfish as my generation that sometimes I don't open myself up to others, right? And but it's good to see that, and that it didn't end just as oh, we're gonna make another GI Joe, or we're gonna make another Transformers, But the cartoon that I was talking about, guys, was that was one of my favorites, and we didn't mention it was Alvin and Chipmunks,
Oh yeah,
Um,
and
that was another great one.
that's not an honorable mention. That should have been in the first part of my
I
conversation.
think I remember the movies a lot more.
Yeah, I took you to see the movies because that was one of my
No,
favorite.
I'm talking about the animated movies, the ones
Oh
we had
no.
on VHS.
Oh yeah. But the original cartoons, I mean, which is gonna take me to my next subject, a little bit about my generation, was that we had this thing called you had Adult Swim where you can do all this, or you had Boomerang, or you had Cartoon Network. Obviously, in my day, we didn't have that. I mean, our cable TV was literally a wire, and you got maybe 5 extra channels or something like that.
What was
But
everything on PBS or something?
no, we had what they would call Saturday morning cartoons.
Okay.
So Saturday morning, you would wake up like I don't know 8 o'clock, Gabe,
Yep.
and you had cartoons all the way to noon, and pretty much like all three networks were playing cartoons. Like the one would have Hanna Barbera, one would have Disney, the other one would have Warner Brothers, and you would watch cartoons. So and it had it in order. You watch like Mickey, the Bugs Bunny, and then you would watch whatever's next, and then it was cartoons all morning. So you would literally sit there in front of the TV with your cereal, which is odd for me because I don't like milk, but I would sit there and watch it and watch cartoons all Saturday morning. And Saturday morning, the networks they focused. Their focus was the kids. I mean, and Saturday morning cartoons was a big thing in my time. It was really really big. Gabe, did you get to catch some of that?
Oh yeah. I mean, a lot of the Ninja Turtles came out there, and I mean even older stuff too as well. I mean, and I think Channel 7 had more, like a lot of the like Beetlejuice and what was that one one of the first ones that was like CGI. Oh, Reboot, I think it is, where they're like in the computer. I mean, this is a little bit later, as well. I still remember watching like, a lot of the older stuff as well too, but I just remember ABC having more of the cartoons because usually like NBC would have those like tween shows like Saved by the Bell and
Yeah,
whatnot.
yeah, they came out a little towards the like late '80s, early '90s, right?
Yeah.
Which also that's another thing that I love with the teen NBC. But I remember like when the Saturday morning cartoons they would have like depending on what was popular at the time. So let's say WWF or WWE was popular that year.
Yeah.
So they
Mhm.
had the cartoon. Well, Hulk Hogan was like the leader, and it was like help solve crimes or whatever with all the other
Oh
wrestlers.
yeah, I remember
And
that.
and it was so funny because they were all the wrestlers were always in their outfits
Yep.
of their wrestling outfits. So
Even if they were in disguise or something like that, kind
yeah,
of.
they would take out the disguise. They would have the wrestling outfit on. So,
Yeah.
or at the time there was a cartoon of Wayne Gretzky, Bo Jackson,
Oh, Pro Stars.
and was it Michael Jordan?
Yeah, it was Jordan and
Yeah, and so
yeah,
it's
Bo Jackson and Gretzky.
so it depended what was popular, but they always had those cartoons to mix in with the
Yep.
rest of the cartoons. So every Saturday morning, it was like it was dedication. Like it was a job.
Yeah.
You had to wake like I gotta go to sleep. I gotta wake up. I got cartoons tomorrow morning.
Yep.
Like I ain't missing this. And obviously we didn't have I mean you could record them on your VHS, but you didn't have like to save it on your what they call it,
DVR.
the DVR and all that. You literally had to watch it. If not, you missed an episode. And
Yeah.
when you went to school on Monday morning, it's like, did you watch it? Nah, fuck no, I didn't watch
I
Yep.
think I was spoiled with the DVR my whole
it. Yeah.
generation.
Yeah. Well, the same thing with GI Joes and Transformers that came on after school, so it's like you
Well, not
know,
only that, Gabe. I mean, there was a time that I would wake up at 6 in the morning to go to school, and the first 45 minutes an hour was me watching cartoons.
yeah, yep,
And then my mom was like, "You didn't get ready for school." I'm like, because the thing that for some reason in my head, I believe that if I didn't catch it on Saturday morning, I'll catch it through Monday through Friday. but it never happened, and it didn't work that way. But in my head, it
Right.
did because they also had different versions of it. So like if
Mhm.
you watch it, let's say a Transformers on Saturday morning, the Transformers they had on the early morning cartoons was not that great of an animation. It was like
Mhm.
the little they let the interns come in and draw them out.
Right.
You know, so it was a different animation. I remember there was some GI Joes that it was like, well, that's not the same storyline. Like, what the fuck's going on? You know, but
Mhm.
it was like, and it was different Joes. You know, it was like the B team. So it was like they had different ones, and the one I remember the most is Alvin and the Chipmunks because on Saturday morning it was like a really good animation, but the one in the mornings was like a real cheap animation, and it used to annoy the hell out of me. I was like, come on, like why can't I get the one from Saturday?
Right.
Especially because it was 5 days a week
Because
instead
it
of
was the
one.
older ones that I want to say, like the ones that
Yeah, I
like
think that's what it
previous.
was. I just probably didn't get the gist of it, but yeah, that's it.
Yeah, because the ones on Saturdays, like you would have Alvin, like singing Michael Jackson songs back then, or
Hmm.
like they had like the little videos or something like that of certain pops,
But come
popular
on,
songs during
that
the
chick,
time.
that chick might have a voice, okay?
Yeah.
You
But
know what? You know what I've been looking at right now. What I just pulled up. Maybe you guys would like to do that. I pulled up a random Friday through Sunday block of Cartoon Network when into from 2009.
what you
So like
get?
when I was 8 years old, and I'm gonna say the ones that I watched for sure. So on Friday, the Transformers animated show, 6 a.m. I would wake up, get ready for school. I would watch an episode of Chaotic, which was like a card game animated show. Then the Marvelous Misadventures of Flapjack at 7 a.m. Get ready for school, and I'd miss the whole day of programming until I got home. At 3 p.m. they play Teen Titans because at that point it was already a 3-year-old show, but they were playing the reruns. And then at 3:30 p.m. Is when Star Wars: The Clone Wars would start playing, and they would play it all the way to 4, and then they'd stop again for Teen Titans. They played the new episode of Johnny Test, and then they played the movie Small Soldiers until 8 p.m. So it would be Small Soldiers at 6 p.m. and ends at 8 p.m. and then the Star Wars: The Clone Wars season premiere. This is on this random like weekend that I picked. It was a season premiere of the Clone Wars, and they would play 2 episodes. And after those 2 episodes, they'd play 2 reruns until 10 p.m. and then Adult Swim would start. Then on Saturday, it would always start with Tom and Jerry for about 2 hours, and then we would have Saturday morning. This is our like my Saturday morning because everything here was new besides the episodes of Star Wars: The Clone Wars, which had came out the day before. So it was the Secret Saturdays, Bakugan, the Superhero Squad show, Pokemon Diamond and Pearl. You've got Batman: The Brave and the Bold, last night's episode of Star Wars: The Clone Wars, Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D, and then reruns of Teen Titans and Etta and Eddie, and Total Drama Island, because that
I
was a
met
big
Ed
thing
and
when I
Eddie.
was a kid too. Total Drama Island was insane. Even as an adult, I've gone back and I watched that first season, and it was made to be an adult animation show, but they got it like cut down to be a kids show, which is insane.
Well,
But
well,
that was like my Saturday morning block.
I did what you just told me to do, and I went and here's a couple of good ones from my Saturday morning '80s, Gabe. So
Mm-hmm.
check this out, see if you remember these, and Vic, see if you recognize any of them.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously you had the Turtles,
Okay.
Ghostbusters cartoon,
Mm.
Inspector Gadget. You had the GI Joe Thundercats, Thunder and the Barbarian. You remember that, Gabe?
Gundar, yeah.
He-Man, Garfield. I forgot about him.
Yeah.
One I never watched was Jim. A pup named Scooby Doo.
Oh yeah.
I
You remember
remember
that?
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, Vic. I think they re-released it when you were younger. I don't know that one. Shifa. Oh, Gabe, you gotta remember this one, brother. The Littles.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
I remember that one.
The Flintstones as kids, Spider Man. So you got to Vic. Some of these they out in the late '80s. They did like this thing where they all were kids again. I think they
Mm-hmm.
did it for you as well, right?
Well,
The
they
Flintstone
did
kids too, remember?
The who?
The
Flintstone Kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one I just said. Yeah,
Okay.
They
yeah.
did the Baby Looney Tunes when I was a kid.
Oh, that came out as well. Oh no, that came out more like in the late '90s, 2000s.
There's two of them.
Transformers. Oh, another one, Shirt Tails.
Yep.
This one I never watched, The Karate Kid. Mr. T,
I remember that one.
The Dukes, Bernstein Bears. I used to watch that one. Heathcliff, Superman,
Nice.
and the Archies.
The Archies.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So there's some good ones there. Well, guys, we're gonna take our first break real quick. Come back and we're gonna talk a little bit more about some other animation, including movies and some of the animations that's going on nowadays. We'll come back right after this break, guys. Welcome back to Rhyme and Reasoning. Today we're talking about cartoons. We got Gabe representing the ex-millennial, the in-betweener,
What
and
up?
we got Victor with Z.
What
And
up?
if you missed the first part, go back and check it out. But yeah, we've been talking about our favorite cartoons and the cartoons how they've changed over the years. We talked a little about Saturday morning cartoons, and we talked about some of the greatest cartoons to come out, and action cartoons, and even some Adult Swim that I was completely clueless about. But there's some cartoons in there. Excuse me, let me say animations because as I was reading up on this, there's a big difference. Just so you guys know what I seen when I was reading up on this, cartoons can be anything from gag, they called it,
Hmm.
which is a drawn cartoon. They're basically like an ad or political view or just like one still
Yeah.
shot of it. That was considered a cartoon, and they called it a gag. Or the other one was called animated cartoon, which is what we're talking about today. So I didn't know that. I learned that today. You guys probably did, but I didn't. Um, but the animation cartoons that we kind of miss is a little bit of Deanna's our other co-host generation, and I mean me and her we had this thing we always watch Rocket Power together. And she would be Rocket Girl. You know, she was always Rocket Girl, and she called Little Vic her Rocket Boy, and because Little Vic was small at the time, and that was a really big cartoon. And at the time, I believe that was on Nickelodeon,
Hmm.
and Nickelodeon had a huge block of cartoons.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, the most popular one of theirs was the Rugrats. I believe when Victor started watching cartoons, they already had came out. The Rugrats like bigger. They were like
All grown
teenagers,
up.
all grown up.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh yeah, all grown up
Yep.
with you. Yeah.
which is the opposite of what we were going through in the '90s, right? Because we were getting all these cartoons as kids. You know that I just named Scooby Doo Pup,
Yeah.
the pup, a pup named Scooby Doo, the kids Flintstones. You know, even the Teen Titans. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but in that one, I mean, obviously Rugrats were babies, and they had to grow up. I watched a couple episodes of it. I liked it.
I remember all grown up. It was real good.
Yeah. They got a lot of backlash though.
Did it?
Yeah, because they didn't really want to see them, you know.
Grow up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's always going to be a group that's not going to be happy, you know.
Angelica was
Dill was a stoner.
Yeah.
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 was he?
Well, he wasn't a stoner in the like actually in the show, but like his character was that of the stoner.
He
Yeah.
was one of the twins, right?
No, I'm talking about the brother, Tommy's brother, Dill.
Oh, the little
Was
one.
that his name, Dill?
Yeah,
No,
Dill.
no.
Phil, you're thinking about Phil and Lil, the
Yeah,
twin.
Phil and Lil, but Dill was
Oh,
Tommy's brother.
it wasn't their last name Pickles,
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it was Dill Pickle.
yeah,
Yeah.
Tommy Pickles.
Anyways, this is and Indiana would love those shows, and it would be them. It was and some of the other shows I mentioned during our break was Hey Arnold.
Mm-hmm.
That was a good one.
And I'm trying to think of some of the other Nickelodeon shows. Ed, Ed and Eddie, of course. And there was another one that she liked to watch. But they had a good block of cartoons there for a while. Did you get to catch any of those, Gabe? I know
Like
Victor was
Dexter's
forced to
Lab,
watch it.
I would watch, or like
Do you want-
'cause my sister and it was entertaining too. The Powerpuff Girls, which my youngest, she loves that every now and then too.
I can name some from the
Yeah.
90s, Ed. So you've got Rocco's Modern Life,
Yeah, that was a great one too.
The
Little bit
Wild
like,
Thornberries.
Wow,
oh yeah,
Thornberries. Yeah, I actually
yep,
like that one.
There was the Animorphs TV show, which I kind of remember a little bit of.
I don't know that one.
Doug,
yeah,
Angry Beavers,
Mm-mm.
Danny Phantom, Hey Arnold, Ren and Stimpy.
Ren and Stimpy was
yep.
very popular.
SpongeBob premiered in 1999.
How do we forget SpongeBob in this conversation? It's kind of like
Ah,
speaking over Alvin, isn't it?
Right.
yeah.
Well,
Not a
another
big
one we
fan.
kind of missed too was I would say want to bring up a little bit. It was late '80s, but Ducktales too. That was a big one because that kind of kicked off
Oh,
the big old
Not only 80s,
view
they're
of
in Sixers generation.
yeah,
yeah. DuckTales was big in my generation too.
yeah.
Can't believe I forgot it.
There was another duck that you used to like, Victor, wasn't it? It was like he was like a phantom or something.
Dracula.
Huh?
Count Duckula.
I
I
remember
don't.
that one.
I don't remember Count Duckula.
He was like a superhero, but it was a duck. I can't remember his name.
He was super good, but he was a duck.
You used to like him when he was little, Greg. When he was little, I can't remember his name, but you used to love him.
You're not talking about Underdog, are you? And you think,
Uh,
okay, cool.
no, he was a
Darkwing
legitimate
Duck,
duck.
maybe.
Darkwing.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't remember Darkwing Duck.
Yeah,
Oh,
there
that
I
was,
was
know of Darkwing Duck, but I don't remember it.
yeah, there was a
They had
time when you were
Launchpad
you
also
were
from
big into
Ducktales.
Darkwing. What's that?
They had Launchpad from Ducktales.
Oh, yeah, he
Oh
got
yeah.
what was the name of the Scrooge McDuck or something?
Yeah, Scrooge McDuck
Yeah.
and Daffy's three nephews.
Yep.
Yeah, that was a good show. I
Yeah.
mean,
The remake is actually really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
DuckTales.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These shows I gotta watch. Um,
Oh yeah. Talk about some shows that Thiago watches.
well, and that's part of the. I want to get into a little bit later. Right now is I don't know if he watches a lot of cartoons.
Mm.
Like he reads right now. He reads Captain Underpants
Yeah.
and Dog Boy or Super Dog or something like that.
Sure.
I don't know. Some book he reads. He
Uh-huh.
actually reads these books that are like I don't know. They're not graphic novels, of course, right? They're more
I
like
mean, they're like the first step to graphic novels.
yeah. So he reads that. He picked up a new comic book this week. I think it was Deadpool, but he doesn't watch a lot of cartoons. If we do watch them, we watch them on the movies. You know,
Yeah.
he's more into movies animation, which was the next subject. So I'm glad we kind of segued into that. But
Mhm.
he watches a lot of like when I first met him, the not Haunted Mansion. It's the Halloween. It's like Frankenstein, Dracula. It's like they live in a castle and his daughter and I
Oh, you're
can't
talking
remember.
about Hotel Transylvania?
Hotel Transylvania. He was huge into that, and I had
Hmm.
to watch all of them with him. Like I think they're
It's
like on.
Adam Sandler.
Is it?
Yeah,
Hmm.
he's
Oh
the
wow.
dad, and Selena Gomez is the daughter.
Wow. Well, yeah, I didn't know that, but I had to watch all four of those with him. He was big into Sing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like we were watching. I just watched. Which if you haven't watched it, you gotta watch the Sing episode on Nickelodeon. I mean on the Netflix. Excuse
The
me.
Thriller one or
The
something like that.
Thriller. That
Yeah,
is
that
a
one's good.
very good episode. Have you
Yeah.
seen that yet, Vic?
No.
I think you'll like it. They pretty much redid the Thriller. Obviously, everybody knows the Thriller video was like 30
Mhm.
minutes long. Well, they redid it, and it's like 12 minutes, but they redo the whole Thriller thing but in the scene characters.
Yeah.
Mm.
So it's
That's
actually really good.
Do you
Um,
guys want to hear a fun fact about Sing?
what's that?
Sing is made by Marv Entertainment, which is the same studio that made Kingsman and the same studio that made the Elton John movie. And the connection between all those is that Taron Egerton, the guy who plays Eggsy
yeah.
in Kingsman, was the voice of the gorilla
Yeah.
in Sing, and he does an Elton John song in that movie.
Mhm.
And then in Kingsman 2, Elton
Elton
John comes
Yes.
out and
He's
he's he comes out in the movie, and then Taron Egerton goes on to be Elton John in the Elton John movie.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
That's
crazy.
Yeah.
And it was all facilitated by Marv Entertainment. It's pretty
Wow.
funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I didn't know any of that. That's kind of like a weird not coincidence, but like a whole timeline of
Yeah.
how things happen. But yeah, so he watches more of the animated movies. So he doesn't
Yeah.
like wake up to watch cartoons or anything like that. And that's why I kind of feel like the generation kind of lost it. But before we get to that, some of the movies that because animation don't stop at the TV screen. It goes on to movies, and we talked a little bit about the Transformer movie, which kind of changed a lot of kids' childhood. After Optimus died, but I mean, there was a GI Joe movie. There was and I'm talking about before the live action. I'm talking about these are actually cartoon movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so there was a GI Joe one. There was Transformers ones. There was the
Are we
Smurfs.
counting? Are we counting 3D animation?
Yes, as long as it's animated, as long as there's no live actor in it. But I mean, you know what? I guess it really doesn't matter, right? Because we're talking about stuff that was animation cartoons that made it so big that even they had to do live action to it. So I guess it really doesn't matter, because the thing is, the effects of these animation cartoons were so big that they had to go out and do this, right? So I mean, the movies that the most recent cartoon movie I've seen probably had to be Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh, the new one.
Yeah, the one
The Mutant Mayhem or something like
yeah,
that.
Yeah,
pretty
With Ice
good.
Cube in it.
Yeah,
I
they,
heard. I
they,
heard it was good.
it
Yeah.
was good. I think they changed the storyline a little bit because these turtles were more like they wanted to be human,
Yeah.
and they wanted to go to high school, and so they kind of focused it more on the teenagers. They wanted to be regular teenagers. Um, but it was a really good movie. I'm trying to think if there was any other cartoon I've seen besides that one. Movie wise.
Well, Chippendale Rescue Adventures, but it's mixed media.
Oh, Chip and the Rescue. Yeah,
Because
that's
that
is that
I
what you call
remember
it?
what mixed media. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like the same thing as Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Because
but go
I
ahead.
remember when I first met Thiago, my little brother. That's what he was watching all the time. Or when he first moved into the house, it was Chippendale Rescue Ranger all the time.
Yeah, and I still get a kick out of the day he's gonna realize why he has that nickname.
Chippendale, yeah. It's not because he likes Chippendale Rescue
Yeah,
Rangers. It's because he used to get naked all the time.
he's a nudist.
He's an exhibitionist.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. And
I have a list of animated movies. Whenever you want to get to it, because I
let's
think
go
you'll remember a lot of them.
let's go through, but let's do it different this time.
Okay.
Me and Gabe are gonna rate, and you can also as well, between 3 to 2 to 1 star. Okay, because that's how. And Gabe, I want you to think about it as the change over from the TV screen to the movie.
Hmm.
Did they do it justice or not? So Vicky, you can also vote on this, but I'm just saying let's give it a rating of 3 to 1 as the changeover. Not so much there was a cartoon good, the storyline good. Did they reflected well from TV screen to movie? How's that sound?
Oh wait. So like I'm gonna list those movies because I have a whole different list. These
Oh,
are animated movies from like 2010s, but I can get that kind of list going. Just give me a
okay.
second.
I thought we were talking. It was good. If it was a changeover, it would have been kind of cool. But if he's doing that, that's great. But
Okay.
now I'm kind of interested in the other list, Gabe.
Right. Yeah.
Let's see. Animation
Have you seen
TV.
that Chip and Dale movie, Gabe?
Oh yeah, it was pretty funny.
Yeah, I got a kick out of it. Unfortunately, I've watched it probably about 100 times. And
You know what? Oh,
good.
I'm sorry.
No good.
You know what we didn't say that came out? It came out the year after you were born, but I'm sure you've seen it. It's the Hobbit movie.
Oh yeah. I remember seeing it on Nickelodeon had a thing called Special Delivery or something like that. I don't know, where they would show like cartoon movies based off of storybooks, and that's where I first saw it on.
It's
But
actually kind of hard to find that other list.
well, go through the other list and we'll just see if we like them or not. 1 to 3.
All right. So do you guys remember Rango
Yeah,
The
I took you to
lizard.
see that.
with
Did I?
Johnny Depp?
The lizard.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Did you don't
yeah,
remember it?
I do remember, but I think Gabe did take you to see that, but I don't think I went.
Yeah, it
But,
was like it was a Don Quixote movie.
Yeah.
So
oh,
it was about a lizard who lived in a tank, and he like went crazy because he's the only lizard in the tank. And then one day the tank falls out of a car or something, and he gets trapped in the desert, and he like thinks he's some grand adventurer, and
Yeah.
it's just a Don Quixote like movie, but it's really good.
okay.
You've got Zootopia, which I'm sure you guys have kids, you've seen.
Yeah.
I
Everyone
give it
loves
a two.
Zootopia.
I give it a two.
That was a 2 for me.
Then you've got Ralph, Wreck-It Ralph.
Oh, 3. I love that one.
There's Monsters University, which I know, Dad, you've seen.
Yeah, I think with your sister and you.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that one was a good one too.
That was a good three.
I
There
give
was
it a 3 also.
How to Train Your Dragon.
Never seen that
3.
one.
I
Yeah,
love those.
it is a good one. There's the Lego Movie was real good.
Oh yeah, 3 definitely.
I
Or
don't know.
Big Hero 6.
3 for me.
That was a good movie.
Yeah.
Me and Victor seen that one together.
Yeah, I remember a friend of ours, Dad, you know about this. A friend of ours pulled me out of school to watch it with me. Let's see. There's Hotel Transylvania, Dad. You've seen all those.
They're great.
One thing we didn't talk about at all was all the Pixar movies.
Yeah.
So like The Incredibles for one.
Great.
Yeah.
Toy Story.
Yeah, those
Well,
were
some of
good.
them are good. Some of them are kind of.
The last one was I mean, I like the I don't know. It kind of ended, but the way, where it was.
You know, I'm gonna tell you something about Pixar movies that I like more than the actual Pixar movies.
Mm-hmm.
These are conspiracy theories
Oh yeah, like how they're all,
connected.
yeah.
Those interest me the hell out of it. Like, wow, I didn't see that. Okay, yeah, okay.
Like look up the timeline on that too. Like they go pretty wild with that. Like how
I went a little deeper here and I got 2000s movies, and I'm sure actually you guys would remember a lot more of these. So Shark Tale,
Yes.
Yep.
B Movie,
Yeah. My
Uh,
daughter's like that.
Spirit.
Yeah. That's
The
a
horse
horse
one, right?
Yeah, it's the horse
Yeah,
one.
that was a good one too.
Robots. You guys remember Robots?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That was great. Robin Williams was in that.
Mm-hmm. And then there's the Simpsons movie.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you guys remember this one, but I watched it. It was called Battle for Terra.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was one of those movies I remember renting from Netflix when it was DVDs.
I've seen
Well,
that one.
one that I see right here. Well, there's like a few more actually, but one that I see here that I wonder if you guys have seen is Surfs Up.
Oh
No.
yeah.
Surfs Up with Shia LaBeouf.
With the chicken and
Yeah.
that was a great one.
I've rewatched it as an adult, and it hits like
Yep.
it hits more than I guess I could have ever imagined as a kid. I think
Yeah.
as a kid, the face value jokes is what makes you laugh and all that. But as an adult, seeing Shia LaBeouf's performance as a penguin who likes to
Yeah.
surf was pretty good. Do you remember Hoodwinked?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hoodwinked. I remember seeing that in Detroit. And then the last two that I'll bring up is Osmosis Jones.
Oh, that's a great one too.
And then
Because that was mixed media also.
Mm-hmm.
They had Bill Murray in it playing the host of the body they were in.
And then I've got Teen Titans Trouble in Tokyo.
Oh yeah, that was a great one.
Yeah.
But and the movies just kind of leads us into like one of the things I want to talk about is how the animation has changed. Is I mean, we talk about like I see the Smurfs from back in the 80s was like a long TV show. That's all it was. It was nothing really different about it. It was just like the animation was the same. But you go to animation now and you see, and I don't know what they call it, but it's like almost like computer generated animation, where it's like you see Alvin and Chipmunks now, it ain't the same Alvin. I mean, he's more computer generated now.
You mean like CGI?
CGI, that's the word. I'm sorry, but it's so different.
You got it.
it's so different how they're created now. The original cartoon, from what I understand, was created with a bunch of like cards,
Yeah.
and they flip through them quickly, or the camera would catch them and it would show them moving, right?
Or for animation cell frames.
And so now how they do it is so different, and so yeah, I feel like it's almost easier for them, right?
Yeah.
Computer wise.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny, like, because my oldest, she's really not into too many cartoons anymore. She's
Mhm.
10, so she's going into more of like the more bigger kid shows. But when she was watching cartoons, she would not watch anything that wasn't CGI though. For her,
Mm.
it was like she said it was boring, or it was like, oh, that's like old school. I don't like that,
Like anything that was 2D.
Yeah, but my youngest, she watches mostly 2D animation and a lot of the older stuff that we talked about before, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
Yeah, but yeah, the animation is so crazy now because I was watching a little bit of Chippendales. We went back and got some episodes of Chippendale, and they were older, and he kind of looked at it a little weird too. He's kind of like, what is this? But he was such a big fan of theirs that he just kept watching it because he obviously thinks his nickname is from that.
Yeah.
So he's like, Dad, Chippendale. So we would watch it and sit there and watch it. And I watched it. They were some good cartoons. They were Rescue Rangers. Come on, I
Yeah.
mean, they rescued the world. So
Mhm.
I mean, we would watch it, but it was regular animation. And nowadays, I don't think they even did a Chippendale like the new CDI. What's it called? CGI.
CGI.
I
3D
don't,
CGI or 3D animation.
yeah, I don't think they did either in the Chippendale, but the animation has changed so much, But what this kind of puts into to a 2 point segment here of the animation and cartoon now,
Yeah.
like because it's like this. Back when Victor was younger, back when Gabe was younger, Deanna as well, and then back to when I was younger, they had different versions of live TV. Like I had TV channel. We had 4 networks. We
Hmm.
had Fox came out later, but we had NBC, ABC, CBS. And then we
Mhm.
had channel 20 that it was kind of snowy on the screen depending on your antennas. If you got it,
Precursor of Fox, basically.
and channel 50.
Yeah.
And that's what our TV channels were. And we got cable. I think it was called On Cable or something like that. I don't even remember the name of it. And we got a
Or
couple extra.
Barden. I remember that.
Barden, yeah. We got a couple extra channels. Then I think when we got Barden, we got like 70 channels, But Deanna had like I don't know how many channels. Victor grew up with DirecTV, so
Mhm.
he had DirecTV all the time. So he could watch cartoons all he wanted,
Right.
The
I
first
mean,
chapter of my memoir is going to be called "Fuck DirecTV."
and so that's like, and we look at. Excuse me, I lost my words there.
Sorry.
That's what we had, and that's what you guys had. So
Mhm.
think about your girls, Gabe, and think about Thiago, and think about the new generation. Like right now, I don't have live TV in my house because I don't need it. I'm not able to sit down and watch a show at the same time every night. I'm not able to do
Mm.
that.
Right.
I don't have
Do
the
you have
time.
live TV, Gabe?
I do actually. I'm still on the cord, unfortunately.
Nice.
I don't have live TV. I have streaming. I have
Yeah.
everything streaming. So I put the money I was putting into DirecTV. I put into the best internet I can get.
I wonder if that's a more normal thing though, Dad, because I convinced you guys to do that like fucking 6 years ago.
Yeah,
But for like normal people, I'm assuming everyone still has the box, right? And like the cable.
I don't know a
Yeah.
lot of people that do.
A lot of the older folk, I know a lot of people that don't have it, and I'm starting to, because I'm like,
You don't have time to
now,
sit down and watch a show at 8 o'clock every Thursday, do you?
exactly. So
Yeah,
it's like
it's
Yeah.
hard.
I'm paying all this money just for for streaming stuff, and it's like
You're
I
paying
like
all this money for DVR essentially
yeah,
when you could
or
have
I
it
mean,
with
yeah, for the convenience, yeah, because I do like that, and that's probably what's keeping me from letting go just yet.
uh-huh.
Yeah, and I think that has to that we kind of went off to a different subject there, but that has to do why I believe like Diablo doesn't have a lot of cartoons that he watches because he doesn't have streaming. I mean, he doesn't
I
have
mean,
live
it's
TV.
cable.
Right.
Yeah, he has streaming, so he can go watch it anytime he wants. And I do catch him watching some cartoons, but it's not the dedication to the series that we had when we were
Yeah.
younger. Like I said, every Saturday morning I was up at 8 a.m. ready to watch the shows.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, the dedication is not there because it's more of like, oh, I can put it up on YouTube later,
Yeah.
or I can put it up on here. You know, it's kind of like, why did MTV lose their, their audience besides them going to live shows all the time? Because YouTube took away everything you could. Like, I'm not gonna sit. I'm not gonna watch MTV. Wait for a video to come out where I can just go put it up on YouTube real quick.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
it's the same thing with the cartoons now. They changed their
accessibility for it.
and it's easier for them to watch it someplace else.
Yeah.
So that's why he's more into movies now, and I think that's what we're gonna see in this next generation coming up.
Yeah. Now, one thing I will say though, my youngest, she is autistic. One thing she does relate to a lot is a lot of the cartoons that really doesn't have that much speech in it either. It's,
Uh-huh.
I think one she hasn't watched it in a bit, but one she was really big on is called Booba, or
Oh, I remember Boobas.
yeah, and someone like her, you don't have voices, like, or kids like that, the cartoons don't speak, but you know what they're doing regardless just by the
Yeah.
actions and stuff. And it's like, I think they kind of did that for, kids on the spectrum, or at least I
Well,
Mhm.
felt,
I heard that a lot about the Minions as well.
yeah, where,
Yeah, and that's another movie that and I don't know the name of that movie off the top of my head, but that was a big movie that
Despicable Me.
who
Despicable Me.
hmm
Despicable Me. Yeah, that was another big movie he would watch as well, and he loves the Minions. But it's once again, it's like stuff they can go watch whenever they want to. You
yeah.
know, Netflix or Hulu, or they watch it when they want to watch it.
But
And
even YouTube comes out with their own series and cartoons and
well, I
stuff
think,
like that. Like,
and
yeah.
that's what I was going to get into, Gabe, is that I think YouTube has like, well, YouTube gives the availabilities to people who don't have like all the money of the studio behind them,
hmm
and they become famous, and then they all of a sudden then they get picked up, right? But like, I mean, he was why he had some cartoon, or I don't even know if it's a cartoon that Oogie Boogie Joogie, something like that, Oogie
Oh
Boogie.
yeah.
That thing. I see how many costumes I've seen this year. That guy. So they even have costumes of these people, and then that I didn't know about that whole game thing that he would watch. That Victor had to tell me about it. That Freddy's at
Oh,
Friday
Five
Nights.
Nights at Freddy's.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
that's another thing that he would watch, and so I feel like the next generation is kind of going to a different way of the cartoons, and I think the way the people who make the cartoons are adjusting to them, and I mean that's what they're supposed to do, right? The fear I have is that cartoons go obsolete, right? Because nobody wants to watch them anymore. But the way they're adjusting, I think we're going to be fine. Because I think cartoons are important. I think
Yeah.
the animation cartoons are good to watch.
I like in the past like year, I think I've gotten to the point where I've rediscovered my love for animation, especially like cartoons. Like, do you remember when we were watching My Adventures with Superman, Dad?
Mm-hmm.
That was good animation. I don't know. Have you seen that, Gabe? On Adult
I
Swim?
haven't yet. I need to
It's
check that out.
really good. Jack Quaid does the is it Jack
Mm-hmm.
Quaid? Yeah, the son, Jack Quaid. He does the voice of Superman, and it's
Oh wow.
really good. And
Yeah.
I
then
think it's
they've
on
even
Max
got
also.
they've even got Batman the Cape Crusader out right now. That's on Prime. If you haven't
Yeah.
seen it, it's like a big ode to like the 30s Batman stories.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good.
There's one on Max right now as well, and I can't remember the name of it, but I seen it. And I was like, oh, I gotta tell Vic and Gabe about this one. I'm gonna take a picture of it. I'll send it to you guys. But
Gotcha.
that's the good thing about some of the streaming channels that they're doing like mini movies now.
Yeah.
You don't have to wait for the theater. You can see them on Hulu. You can see them on Prime. You can see them on Max. So that's the good thing about these, and that's what we I kind of try to watch with him, because it's hard to, like I said,
Yeah.
it's almost like we're spoiled, is what it is. Because
Right.
Yeah.
like I said, I don't have the discipline to say I'm going to sit here and watch the show at 8 o'clock. So what happens is when he's done with his homework and we're done with everything, like he gets a shitload of homework. We talked about that last week, but it's like you get time. It's like, okay, I'm gonna relax now,
Yeah.
and let me see what's on TV. And that's when he gets to watch his cartoons too, or he gets to watch whatever he's watching. Unfortunately, I think a lot of the following people playing video games became a big thing. So that he watched a lot of YouTube of that. I don't know what that's called. Is that Twitch, Vic?
Like streaming or just
Not sure.
people who game on YouTube in general. Like
Yeah.
that's something that I think ruined cartoons for me when I was a teenager. Is that I became more of a YouTube kid instead of every Thursday through Sunday block I would get ready for my shows like we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
And I remember on Saturday mornings I would wake up. I would go to that in the second story house that we lived in. I'd go to the corner living room. I'd sit on that little chair that was on the swivel, you know,
Mhm.
and then I'd look out the window and you'd be cutting the grass and I'd have my little cheese stick and I'd watch my shows. But then as I got older, it became more of like, well, Clone Wars isn't on TV anymore. I guess I'll watch YouTube videos. And then, from there, it just kept going. But I think as an adult now, it's a lot. You have to find the time to do those things, and I find that I have to do that as an adult. But now kids have to do that
Yeah.
because my little brother, he doesn't have Cartoon Network, he doesn't have Disney Channel or Nickelodeon to like show him what's up. You know what I mean? He has to find it on his own, which I think is a crazy barrier for entry that these new TV shows and movies have now. Before, it was whatever was put on Nickelodeon, your kids were going to watch, and they would watch it even if they didn't like it because it was what was going to be on for the next 3 hours.
Yeah. Well,
But
But a lot of
now,
kids nowadays have it spoiled where because even my girls like they'll have some type of cartoon on the TV, but
mhm.
then they're on their tablets as well.
Yeah,
Like,
it's crazy.
well, and that's what I was going to get into right before we end the show today. Is that what we had growing up, we don't get anymore,
mm-mm.
and it's very hard. I guess it's a whole different type of media now because they didn't have they don't have now the commercials,
Yeah. Well,
the teasers.
yeah.
We would get teasers, like, hey, this Saturday, what's going to happen to Optimus Prime or stuff like that. We don't have that. I know the media does still do it, and they obviously they adjust it with the generations and the technology and everything else.
Mhm.
But me, who's like, I'm spoiled with no commercials, so I don't watch commercials anymore. So I
Mhm.
don't know what's popular anymore. And this takes me to another whole other show that we can do one day, live radio.
Yeah.
I Spotify all day. So how's that help me? I get to listen to what I want.
You stopped
But
listening to Sirius XM?
I don't. Yeah, I don't have it no more because I just
Damn.
got tired. I just got tired of paying it. But the thing is, like, I don't know. I don't know what's new until I hear it. Somebody talk about it or say something. But I don't. Live radio used to be able to get you what's new.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same thing with TV. Same thing with cartoons. We had that, and we had the advertisements that we don't watch anymore because the TV, the way the technology is, it completely ruined us. Damn technology.
I'm on a cranky old man stage when it comes to radio, though. I'm
You know,
I'm usually like sports talk and
yeah. We're gonna do a cranky old man 2 episode like we did last season. Did you catch that one, Gabe?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So then for some reason everybody liked that episode.
yep.
I said I came out sounding like a very cranky old man in that episode, if you ask me, but there was
But
a
that
very
was the point of it.
yeah, it was a very popular show. I didn't think I was gonna come out that bad though.
But going back to animation, like Netflix has a lot of good adult ones too. Uh, like the Castlevania ones, those are pretty good.
Oh yeah, I've heard
Um,
that.
what else? I think it's Blood of Zeus or something like that. That's
Mhm.
another great one. And Prime has that Invisible. That's a real good one based off a
Mm.
comic. Really graphic, but
Oh yeah,
and
Invincible's really good.
Yeah, we
yeah,
seen
and
that.
Vox Machina. That's what I'm watching right now, season three
The
of.
the pe- the people who made Critical Role.
Hmm.
Yeah,
You,
I've heard
you-
that's good too.
Yeah.
and we talk about the advertising. That's one thing the streaming channels do very well. They if you watch like one or two cartoons, and then they'll group them all together for you,
Oh
and
yeah,
say,
if you like this, or
yeah, they put all the
or if
animations
you want
together. So they, like I said, technology has its ups and downs. It's just when you get to experience both of them, like we did, it's kind of like, man, the old ways were so good, but I don't feel like waiting
yeah.
any reason. I can sit here all day and complain about the new stuff and technology and everything, but I use it all day. So I'm kind of like a hypocrite on it.
Because you can cram in everything that you need to, with
You know what I've been thinking about is that word of mouth is probably even more of a better advertising these days than actual commercials.
Well, through social
Because
media.
yeah.
yeah, because like I think my coworkers at work, the shows that I recommend to them, they have no clue about because their algorithm on their phones and their TVs probably never throw it down their faces like mine does, you know?
Hmm.
Like they're watching like Young Sheldon and Big Bang Theory and like CBS shows.
Yeah,
And
I'm
like
not.
when I tell them about like things like The Boys or like Invincible or like things on Netflix, they're always like, "No, I've never heard of it, but I'll check it out." And like they've probably never gotten an ad for those things, or they've probably have and didn't know what it was. So like word of mouth is probably even bigger now than it's ever been.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because everything's listening too. So
Mm-hmm.
Well, guys,
Exactly.
we're gonna call it a show today. It was a great, fun show. Honestly, when I talked about cartoons, I was like, man, I hope these guys don't get bored talking about it. But you guys
no,
went an hour and a half without worrying about it.
no, and I'm
Professional
um,
sure I'm
yappers.
sure there's gonna be a lot of stuff we didn't mention,
yeah,
and
and I
but
always get feedback on that stuff, but it's great.
it's
But
just so much to put
before
out
we end
there.
the show, though, I want you guys to go ahead and tell me your all-time number one show or that you guys have on your list. If you had to think about it and you say, you know what, I need to show my kids, my future kids, or brothers, sisters, and what is one cartoon that you guys say was your favorite all time? Doesn't matter the generation.
Damn.
Oh, that is tough because, well, I would say for me, because I had to have the toys of it, was the Ninja Turtles. I mean, I love Transformers, I love Thundercats, Voltron, but I mean, just growing up, like Poppy, there's a new character, there's a new guy that came out. Just because the way it affected the way like I wanted to get toys and stuff like that for me.
Yeah.
That's I would have to say it was that.
Vic,
um, it's probably a toss up between Adventure Time because Adventure Time is really good, but also
Adventure
like
Time.
I've been watching South Park since I was like 10, and there's still new seasons of South Park going on. And even when you were a teenager, Dad, there was still seasons of South Park going
mhm,
on, and it's always relevant for whatever year it's in. And like, it's good. It's good. Adventure Time and South Park are like my all-time
Yeah.
faves. I can
no.
watch those on repeat all the time.
Well, me it had to be either Alvin and Chipmunks or GI Joe,
Nice.
and
That's
I
all
mean
it takes.
a second to those would probably be like Transformers, but it was GI Alvin and Chipmunks since I was a baby. I mean, I loved Alvin, and then GI Joe's because I still want every action figure. So it's nothing. They don't go any type of pattern.
Mm-hmm.
Chipmunks or soldiers,
Right.
but
Check out the GI Joe spoofs if you ever. I'll send you a link to it. It's pretty
Oh yeah.
funny where they
Dad,
make
I'll
fun
have
of
to
the
send you some
TSA.
of those Hanna Barbera re-edits, like those shows. Yeah, I think you'd really like Harvey Birdman. If you've never heard of it, Gabe, have you seen
Oh
Harvey
yeah,
Birdman?
yeah. You got that
It's
thing I sent you?
yeah, it's so good.
definitely. Well, guys, brings the end of the show. Thanks a lot for your time again this week. As a reminder, the shows will be released every Wednesday. With the RIP comic book every 15th of the month. Gabe, where can I find you at?
And on Facebook at Gabriel Feliciano, or on Instagram at Gabe's Picks 22.
Okay. And Victor, right before you give us where they can find you, you want to give everybody a quick as far as info with what they can find on the RIP Comic Book Club.
Yeah, of course. So the next episode we're going to be doing is the part 2 for Death in the Family. In the collected volume, we have Death in the Family, and then we have A Lonely Place of Dying. So the next episode of the RIP Comic Book Club, we'll be talking about the rise of the new Robin after Jason Todd's death. And we'll get to find out more about who that new Robin is. And that will be on the 15th, it seems.
All right. And where can I find you at?
They can find me at Victorino _ No, yeah, Victorino underscore MP4 on Instagram, and then on Twitch at twitch.tv// Vic at night. VICATNIGHT.
All right. And you can find me on Instagram under Mendez Vic, or you can follow us on the Instagram of Rhyme and Reasoning _podcast.
Big Papa's words. Last week with Halloween, I talked about how we could enjoy Halloween as an adult and not be ashamed. One problem that doesn't change in generation is kids trying to grow up too fast. We try so hard to rush to be an adult or even rush our kids to grow up, but why? When we are adults, all we talk about is our childhood. The world around our children will try to force our children to grow up, but it's up to us that they enjoy their childhood because they need those moments and memories when they are older. Could you imagine not being able to say, when I was a kid? If that was the case, I wouldn't have rhyme and reasoning to remember and defend my generation. This is Rhyme and Reasoning. We'll see you next